Hey everybody, it's your girl PJamma from PJamma Lyfe. And this week we're doing something fun. We're talking about the Mandalorian with our buddies, the Star Wars encyclopedia and professor of all things Star Wars, David, and superfan Pat. And so let's talk about the two episodes that we have. We have The Heiress, episode 11, and The Siege, episode 12. Both fantastic. I enjoyed both of them. So from what I understand, unfortunately, we don't have a trailer of the episodes. I looked all over and couldn't find a trailer, but let's put up the picture and show for episode 11 the heiress, and then we'll talk about the episode. All right, we got some really good. Yeah, we had to kind of go with some stills there, but it'll give you a sense of what was going on in the episode. And it was jam-packed with a lot going on. So I'm really interested to hear what you all thought about this episode and some of the tie-ins that we'll have to the other episodes that the other shows that are out there in the Star Wars universe. So this episode, hey, let me say hi to Tim Windsor. He was on our other show and he has joined us. And so thanks, Tim, for showing up. And hopefully we'll get some more people coming in. And the good thing about this episode to me was we got back to the storyline of the series. The first two episodes I thought were kind of to me they felt like kind of filler episodes. I'm sure they will have some connection to later episodes, but this episode made me love the series again. So this episode, it kind of gave me a Pirates of the Caribbean vibe a little bit with the thing guys with the things on their faces was kind of straight out of, it's a Disney product, so they're gonna tie in some stuff. And then I was really glad that Mando was able to find his people, only to discover he's in a cult. So I was like, what is going on? That is so funny to me. I was like, uh-oh. And since I haven't watched some of the other series, I didn't get a chance to understand kind of the background story of the Mandalorian race. So I thought that it was really great also that we might have got a hint of a Jedi in this episode. So I think we have things from a lot of different parts of the Star Wars universe. And so, fellas, why don't you talk a little bit about what you thought about the episode, some of the tie-ins, and where we're going from there.
Well, obviously the first tie-in is for Bo-Katan, I think her name was, the leader of the three Mandalorians that came and rescued the baby from, the whatever the subterranean, the subwater thing, and came out. The three Mandalorians. She is a big character in Rebels. She's like the leader.
Bo-Katan?
What's that?
Bo-Katan?
Yes.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, she's voiced by the actress who actually played her in the series, and they look pretty dang close. I was impressed with that. I thought,
Katie Sackhoff.
Animation look like the person, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Big tie in there. You knew it was, to a certain extent, you knew some of this stuff was coming if you had watched Rebels. because the Darksaber was a big, a fairly large sword, and you saw that at the end of the first season when Moff Gideon came out with cut the side out of the TIE fighter with Dark. That's it's kind of like it's like the scepter of the Mandalorians. So whoever's supposed to be the leader, the rightful ruler of the Mandalorians.
Oh, so it's not a Jedi saber?
It is a Jedi saber. It was made by the first Mandalorian to become a Jedi.
Right.
So it's a Jedi saber, but it's like this artifact almost, this incredibly symbolic lightsaber.
Right.
Darksaber, not a green, yellow, blue, red, all the ones you see.
Right.
Or
because it looked like it had dark lightning, like black lightning to it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a weird. It's a real unique item, and it's very culturally significant to the Mandalorians. So to see it appear, you knew there was going to be some sort of tie-in. And I was impressed that they were able to tie in actual characters from other series.
Yeah. Well, was Dave Filoni a part of Star Wars Rebels?
Yep. Right.
Okay, and so he was also in Clone Wars. Yep. So you see how he can now tie in all those elements to this series.
Yeah, his fingerprints are throughout this now. He and Jon Favreau doing this together, but you're really seeing Filoni's impact in this. I think a lot of the basic things that we saw in the first season was more Favreau, and a real kind of love letter to the original Star Wars Holiday Special. So many ways, from Mando's rifle to the reference to Life Day. I mean, it's the words from the Ewok movies. There was a lot of the original stuff, and Favreau really grabbed that. And Filoni is taking us more in that direction, connecting this show with the animated world that he created, and so it'd be fascinating. And that's something that I'm not 100% sure that I like. One of the things that I've loved about the Mandalorian is it's a time period that I love in Star Wars, like that Empire during or just right after, but he's brought in these other characters. So we're kind of building on this subset. I loved the fact that Mando and Cara Dune and Greef Karga and the Clint, all of these were new people in this universe. It's a universe. There's a lot of people. So I like the fact that we were doing something new and there was new ground. So I'm a little trepidation with this direction, but Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan is fantastic. Seeing a lot of the ships that we saw in Rebels, some of the Imperial ships that we never saw in the movies, but was where the big battle was going on. Did that, for the two of you, I have to ask, when they were taking that Imperial freighter, light cruiser, whatever, did that remind you a little bit of Flash Gordon when the Hawkmen took?
Oh my goodness! I can't believe you brought that up. That's what I was thinking too. Yes.
All it was missing was
classic
background.
Classic. I love it. Yes. I just expected to hear Flash.
Loved it.
And I really did love the cameo by Titus Welliver. He plays as the captain of the ship, and he plays Bosch on Amazon Prime, but he's been in a ton of things. He's an incredible actor. And so the level of actors they're getting for this is really fantastic. And I like how they also kind of subtly redeemed the child from eating the frog lady's eggs, and then had him like being very supportive of coming to see it as a entity as opposed to just food. So I think they needed to do that because there was a cry out in the world about no, the baby's me, but I was kind of like, well, kids are jerks, and so they do stuff like that because they don't know, And so, and he's hungry. You know, if you have a little kid and they're hungry, they're gonna try and eat up everything. So but it was kind of like, no, I don't want the baby to be mean.
Disney put out a press release about it.
My goodness.
They really did. They were, I mean, it's Christmas time, so they're a little concerned that their moneymaker, because, you know, there's big secrets last year kept the child from being what would have been the #1 toy in America for the holiday season. They don't want to do anything to mess with the good mojo they've got after some of the questions, you know, with the issues and the fan base split over the movies. So it's like, no, we all want to be together on this money train. So that is an interesting point.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
You know, they're getting worked up about that. I'm like, okay, it's a kid. Kids put all kinds of crap in their mouth. If you've ever had a kid, you understand. If you've been around kids, they put stuff off the floor in their mouth. And this is like a child from obviously an aquatic planet. You know, if you look where Dagobah was, where Yoda lived, I mean, he's the apex predator. You know, he's going to eat what he wants to eat, you know. It's just caviar, you know. But yes, I understand there's so much outrage before, but I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I had to roll my eyes at that. And, you know, I'm kind of on the border with being a PETA kind of person. I'm not at PETA yet, but I do sympathize with him. But a fictional character, you know, people eat eggs. It's not a loving thing. I mean, I think
they're tasty. I love them.
You know, I mean, heaven forbid for me to say Star Wars, it's just a show.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, but people need to jet back a little. But I am surprised that they did. And I mean, but you know, this little Yoda though, we've never seen this Yoda. Thing. So he's already for the holiday.
Oh my gosh. Is that a classic one? I know you have the best Star Wars toys.
This was from a Ralph McQuarrie.
Oh my gosh.
I guess it's classic at this point. It's about 20 years old.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I just got one from Hasbro, released it, and I got it at Aldi's, and it is the child with pull it out.
Oh, there he is.
And then he has the frog.
Oh, that's cool.
And then it has a little cup. And it's just adorable. So that's my little Star Wars deal.
Gotta have it. Gotta show your toys, man. You got any action figures out?
Yeah.
I never really gotten into. I have way too many other things I'm collecting.
Yeah, that's true.
Too many vinyl records. No, I can't. Get another hobby.
I got you.
Oh, and that one, it coos and it has 10 different other sounds. So it's the coolest.
That's awesome.
You know, go to Aldi's and hurry up because they might sell out. So, okay, let's go on to anybody have any last words about this episode? We're going to go to the next episode.
I mean,
let's hit it.
All right. Okay, it was a great episode. Oh, and that one, just another quick note. Kashka Reeves, the other female Mandalore, is Sasha Banks, and she is a wrestler, a pro wrestler. And so that was pretty cool. She's with the WWE, and she's fantastic. So I was like hoping to see more of her. So we'll see what happens if we get to see more of her character again. Okay, let's go to the next episode, which is the Siege. And here we have the gang back together again. And the baby goes to college, and the child goes to school. I don't think he'll be a good student. I think he might choke somebody out before it's over. We get to see the fights with stormtroopers, and I think the episode was about the gang discovers that they think it is an old Empire base that's empty but still has some weaponry on it, but they end up finding out that it's actually being used for medical, it's a lab and they're doing medical experimentation there, and to make well, do I spoil it?
Well, if they're watching, they should probably be going on.
Okay, you guys need to watch it. So they're making clones. It looks like they're trying to make clones of dark stormtroopers or bad guys with Jedi powers, I think. So it is really, this episode was really good. I really enjoyed it. Had a ton of action. You got to see the stormtrooper. What are those motorcycle choppers called?
Speeder bikes.
Scout bikes. You got to see those back again. You got to see stormtroopers getting jacked up. What's his name? Moss Gideon makes another appearance. Yep. And I tell you what, I thought his costume was Darth Vader.
Yep.
And I was like, if anybody could take on the mantle of Darth Vader, it's my boy Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, wait.
Huh? Oh my God.
Oh wait, no.
He's just fantastic. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Let him put it on. But I want to see his face. But let him put it on and become the new Darth Vader type. But so he has, I would think his character, I don't know if he was in Rebels or in one of the other ones, that he's a long range kind of thinker and planner. And so he would definitely be able to have a master plan. So we'll see about that. And then another important thing we learned in this episode is that Cara Dune is actually originally from Alderaan. And so we know that from the original Star Wars, and what happened to Alderaan was one of the saddest moments in the original history of the show. And so to know that she is one of the last survivors of Alderaan just broke my heart a little bit. And so I know when the guy came out and talked to her and then gave her, I think was a medal from the army that she was in, that just was like, oh, they are just so good about tugging at your heartstrings. And so it was so full of action and adventure and tying in. And I don't even know how, but they did, tying in that fish guy from the very first episode, Mithron or something like that. I don't think he had an actual name. I think they just kind of called him you.
Yeah, he had a name, but he never saw it. I mean, like he held up the token to say, "Yep, that's you. You're going in the carbonite."
Right. And the fantastic, the world-renowned Apollo Creed, Action Jackson himself, Carl Weathers, is back, looking fine as wine, and just fantastic. And he actually directed this episode, which I really was just in love with when I heard that he directed it, because it kind of also gave me Rocky vibes, from Rocky 3 vibes for some reason, but which was my favorite movie of his, by the way. And I just really enjoyed seeing him again acting and healthy and directing in the Star Wars franchise. So And he may be one of the first African American directors in the Star Wars. No, that's not true. There was another director last season who directed the episode, but it wasn't Carl Weathers, baby. So he's the first one to be in a Rocky movie and directing. How about that? Yep. You guys talk about it.
Well, I liked. There's a lot of there's a lot of speculation as to what's going on with these creatures. Are they trying to? I mean, there was a hint at the highest M count, which is obviously a nod to the midichlorians, which has been
yes,
which
I hated any reference to midichlorians.
Yeah, well, the midichlorians, because we got to find a biological reason why people are force sensitive or whatever. But so highest M count, and I wonder if Moff or Grand Moff Gideon or just Moff Gideon is trying to find a way to infuse himself with force power so that he can effectively wield the dark saber. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that leaves I mean, this some episodes answer questions. This one created a crap ton of them. I mean, there's so many questions about where are we going to go. I mean, there's so many different avenues that they open and made. Obviously something you could go with, but I can't wait for the next episode. Now I gotta wait till Friday though. Damn it,
Yeah, I know.
It's almost like I had to watch TV and watch it every Friday, like must watch TV, because I remember I've gotten really spoiled by the streaming stuff where I get down and binge watch a whole damn series over the weekend, and I'm like, oh my god, But now every Friday I'm like, okay, I get home, I get off at 3:45. I can be watching this by about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock maybe, if I try.
But you know what, Pat? In some shows I do like the binge release, but for an episode, a show like this, I really enjoy having that sense of anticipation all week. I can't wait for Friday. We have it. We at 8 o'clock on Fridays, and we have dinner, and we both watch it together. I like that aspect of it.
And I agree, but the thing is, they've done this so well with, like, okay, for an example, and I'm going on a tangent. When they dropped the Marvel series on Netflix, they would drop like an entire season of Daredevil. And the way they build these shows is that at the end of that show, you're like, holy crap, what's going on? I got to go to the next one. And you would just go next one. So you still had that same sense of anticipation and building, and then to the next episode, then back up again. I mean, it was the whole thing. You had to keep watching. And that's what, I mean, they're doing it, but they're just dropping it every week, which, I mean, yeah, it works. And I'm down. I love it. I still would like to watch the whole season, but okay,
But you know what? It's too much of an instant ramen culture. I mean, everything's got to be like, right? You got to have it right away. And so I love it that, I think it helps the audience too, builds the audience so that you can do this. And if people still want to binge, they could just wait till the end and then just do it all at once.
Oh, I'm doing that with Star Trek because, the new season of Discovery is dropping and I'm not looking at it because I'm like,
right, me too.
Patience really is a virtue with it. I think it forces you to kind of just be excited. But that was kind of Disney's whole thing. They didn't give a lot away. And, you heard about the show and all the still shots. There was no hint that there would be the child or baby Yoda. Mm-hmm. So I do think I love that aspect of it. It's just a small portion. You can rewatch an episode, break it down like game film, see what you missed, and just kind of salivate and wait a little bit as it goes. So I'm actually enjoying the fact that I'm not binge watching. We got back on track with the Bachelorette, which show I don't usually watch, but I stayed up way too late Thursday night. Friday I had the day off, and it was too many episodes. But I couldn't stop because we kind of caught it in the middle, and I had to figure out what was going on with this Claire and Dale people, and I had to go back. So I like the fact that we get it on a weekly basis. I break down the film, can watch it a couple of times. I am curious, and Pat, you mentioned with Filoni and the Rebels and Clone Wars. Filoni also brought in a character not of one of his own, but actually the villain that kind of re-jump started kind of Star Wars in the early 90s. Timothy Zahn said a trilogy of books where the villain was a Grand Admiral Thrawn. This an alien, pale, not giving anything away since it was in Rebels, but slightly changed the character a little of the backstory. But an alien, light blue skin with these piercing red eyes. Do you think we're going to see Thrawn in this as well? Because he was in Rebels. Do you think we'll see that tie in? Or
well, I mean, I hope so. I mean, he was a great baddie. I mean, I think they're really just setting this. I doubt it. That's just my gut feeling, because I really feel that they've set up Moff Gideon as the bad guy. Maybe next season they might start pulling into like bringing in older villains that we saw through Rebels or even the Clone Wars. Because I mean, maybe not this episode coming up this Friday, but following Friday or the next 2 Fridays, we're going to see Ahsoka Tano come back. And
you think she'll be back this soon?
Yeah. Well, they've hinted at it, and that's where Mando's heading to talk to her about the Jedis, and because they could help get the child back to his people or whatever. That's what his current path of reuniting the child with his people is through the Jedi, and Ahsoka Tano is like the last Jedi, at this point, and. Yeah, and I've seen, Rosario Dawson. I can't wait to see her because she has the right features to be Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah,
and I mean, and she's obviously a nerd favorite. She was in Daredevil and all the Marvel series throughout the Netflix. She was the thread that tied all the series together until the Defenders. She's a nerd hero, just kind of like Chris Pine,
Yeah. Well, she's a wonderful actress. So having her, as everyone, I mean, they bring in really wonderful people in this. So having Rosario Dawson on this, I think, is just continues with the excellent casting. Someone who can really, be a superhero kind of kick person. So I think with Katie Sackhoff, who had voiced the Bo-Katan, you're bringing these characters into a 3-dimensional world with just some superb talent, bringing them in. So this is exciting.
Well, it's interesting to me to see so much of this talent coming and wanting to be part of Star Wars. It just speaks to how beloved the franchise is, even among the actors and the people that are in the industry. They love this. They all grew up on, just like you and I did. I mean, I mean, they're like, oh, I can be in Star Wars. Hell yes, sign me up. Let's do this. Sign me up. And Jon Favreau is obviously a super fan. He is. Found such great stories, and he's really got the spirit of the best parts of the movies, because the movies they were spotty at times, and some of them were better than others, but he's found all the good parts, and he's brought that kind of feeling back into it. Of course, Lucas should be happy just counting his money,
Right. And he's a real storyteller. It doesn't feel like in some of the movies, I felt like there was so much commercialism in them, or it just wasn't a good story that he's back to telling the really good core stories. And so I'm hoping that, he's staying on as showrunner and, really keeps up the high level of acting. I mean, in writing in the series. And that's a lot. Every week, you producing 10 episodes of and he can't mess up, he messes up, he's messing up the franchise. So there's little room for error for him. So
the bar was set fairly low, I think, for many people for the sequel trilogy. There was a lot of disappointment with that for a lot of people. Looking at the old prequel trilogy, which is pretty old at this point. My goodness, I remember that day in 1999 when I saw Phantom Menace. So we're going back, 20 years.
Yeah.
But he's brought a way to unify folks with the core thoughts in a time period that everybody loved. And I understand Disney wanting to try new ground.
Right.
I applaud them for that effort, but sometimes you got to stick with some of the same formula. And I think there was a lot of they had the old characters they tried to honor. They had new characters they were trying to bring in, and they needed like a one steady hand throughout those three movies. Maybe with a full outline before you start. There's no reason. No reason it's got to be like Green Lantern where you start filming and then write the story as you go.
I know. I just kind of I just look at the first three and then I look at the last three and I kind of skip the middle three.
Are you talking chronologically or storyline? Because there's a difference. Release chronology versus linear story.
No, I still like it. Looking at the original three trilogy and then looking at the last three trilogy. And then, not going like old new.
You would go, obviously Phantom Menace, all the way through to.
Nah, I don't want to stick those middle three at the beginning and then do the first three and then do the last three. Because I just don't care for those movies. I just felt like they brought in some things that they shouldn't have brought in. It could have been fantastic, but they messed up. My main problem was, I had two problems. One was I didn't like how they used those ethnic voices in that trilogy. I thought if they just kept them, non-ethnic voices. I mean, because they were kind of like, stereotype kind of. I was like, what are you doing? And then Jar Jar Binks, I was like, what the? I mean, everybody was kind of like, but then I read some stuff online that Jar Jar could have been a Sith. And that would have made Jar Jar perfect for me if they had gone with the storyline, which the actor who played him had kind of hinted that they had kind of thought at some point that Jar Jar was actually going to be a Sith to Palpatine. And then, then all of those antics would have made sense because then you start to see he was actually very rebellious. He was actually teaching Anakin how to defy authority. And there's a lot of little things that, if they had played that up, I would have been 100% Jar Jar Binks. But they just made him this strange, silly character that just failed on every level at that point. And so I still love the first three and the last three. What about you, David?
Well, I first three, obviously, I mean, that was a huge thing. I mean, I fell in love with that. From the new Disney movies, I think Rogue One and Solo are fun. I enjoy those.
Yep, I forgot
but the original three, the prequel trilogy, the anticipation, and I've thought about it. I'm disappointed with those movies. I can't tell you. I was standing up in the back of the theater that day in May, jumping up and down when John Williams' music came on.
Yes. I saw it at midnight.
Yeah,
at midnight. We had
a flex day. I didn't take leave or anything, but I went there straight at like for a 9 a.m. show, and I was jumping up and down.
Yeah.
The emphasis on CGI, the poor writing, and the actors and everyone who was associated with that at that point thought George Lucas was a genius. And there's a lot. He's very smart and he did a great thing. Yeah. There's a lot of people that helped make those movies successful. The actors, Harrison Ford, Alec Guinness, Ralph McQuarrie, who brought the vision to life, John Williams with his music, and a person, an unsung hero, George Lucas's first wife, who was the editor of the first movie, won an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
And that made that story. That was great. If they could have put some more thought into the dialogue in those first three and not been, it's CGI. It was that over reliance.
Yeah.
There was, I think, a great opportunity to do stories. Jar Jar's character, I think, certainly was, Lucas was trying to play for a kid's group maybe too much, I think, and it just failed on a lot of levels.
Boo.
But I do take that. I like that better than I like the Disney sequel trilogy. Very disappointed with that.
I can't believe you don't like those. I mean, The Last Jedi is Empire Strikes Back, Last Jedi. I mean, those two are my favorites of the entire 9 movies. Absolutely. Well, I guess 11 movies.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 favorite joints. And I just, everything about them, I just loved. I just love the final 3. I just can't believe you guys.
No. Well, the actress that played Maz Kanata, who did the voice for that, Lupita, I'm forgetting her last name right now. I think I'm saying her name. That's an amazing actress. I mean, if you're going to have someone with her talent that's going to be part of your production, dude, she's the star.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a beautiful actress. She's a talented person. Oh my goodness. I mean, I could have seen it, and this isn't meant to be a criticism of Daisy Ridley or John Boyega, but I mean, if you have someone with her gravitas, this is the next Jedi that Luke would kind of pass the lightsaber to, in my mind. As you know, I mean, she did great with her character, but wow, I mean, what an amazing thing to have this actress without the CGI, just being herself.
You know, you're right about that, because that made me mad. Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes.
There you go.
That made me so mad. I'm like, how are you going to have one of the most beautiful women in the world then become this low? And I was like, she would have been perfect just on her own.
Oh, yeah.
And so you saw that in Black Panther. And so that's why I was like, come on, man, what you doing to us? I was just that disappointed me a lot. And we'll have to have another show just talking about the series, the movies, where we go into our likes, dislikes, what we wish they changed and what we wish they kept the same. And so that we can really dive into it separately from the Mandalorian. But any final words on the this week's episode?
Not much. I mean, I'm interested to see where they go, since they fixed the ship up, but they planted a tracking beacon on it. So.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Well, who's going to fix the ship up for free? I don't care if you do know the marshal, you know. And the only thing I would say about this season that's been really weird to watch is the social backlash against Gina Carano. And,
really?
Oh,
she's amazing. Well, I love her.
Social backlash?
No, okay. I hadn't read that.
Not as big a nerd as I am, apparently. I'm in a lot of the boards. Well, because she's an anti-masker and she went on Parler to get away from all the censorship and everything. She's kind of one of those people. But yeah, I mean, that has not. I'm fully able to separate art from people.
Right.
I love Michael Jackson. He was creepy and weird, but his banging, you know. But yeah,
I mean, it's her career. She's messing up by running her mouth. So
I'm curious to see if Disney wants to stick with her eventually, or cut their losses and find a way to move on and get out of the middle of this limelight, because Disney is very, very controversial.
Yeah, I had heard that. I think she's been just fantastic. Love the character. I think she does a great job. Obviously, she's an athlete.
She's an MMA fighter.
She landed that line, you know, like I lost everyone or something to that effect. Like, she hit it. No, me and Santa C3PO, we're just waiting with the popcorn, ready for the next episode. We can't wait. R2D2 has antlers, but I'm not sure where he is right now.
So who could top that? So we're gonna say goodnight and happy Thanksgiving, and check out my other video where I do a entire Thanksgiving meal using the Instant Pot and review a movie, one of my favorite Thanksgiving movies, Home for the Holidays. So check it out on my channel. It's up now. And hey guys, another great show. Thanks again for joining me.
Thanks.
And remember, everybody, wear a mask and stay close and just be kind to one another.
Amen. Y'all be safe. Take care.
All right. Take care. Good night.
Bye-bye.